Hi guys, I'm Good Guy Griffo, and welcome to my Reaper Guide. In this video, I'll go over absolutely everything that you need to know to play Reaper. This will include all information on his kit, his role, and his playstyle, as well as going over important tips and tricks before talking about matchups. But before I start the video, if you end up enjoying it or learn something new, why not leave a like and subscribe? It doesn't cost you anything and it helps my channel grow. Reaper is one of the first characters to be designed for the game, and his kit has stayed relatively the same. There have been some changes to his abilities, but his core identity and abilities are still all there. From the start, Reaper was supposed to be a close quarters monster, and well, the design team succeeded. No character is more threatening to be close to than a Reaper, but he is not broken. For as strong as he is in close range, he is just as weak at a distance, and it's by understanding his strengths and weaknesses that you'll fully be able to unlock Reaper's potential, or learn how to shut him down completely. Reaper has one of the simplest kits in the game, and well, there's some beauty in its simplicity, so let's start to explore a kit. Reaper has a total of 250 health, which is 50 more than other DPS characters, making him more tanky than other picks. His primary fire are his Hellfire shotguns. These Hellfire shotguns shoot 1 round a second each, for a total of 2 rounds a second. Each one of these rounds have 20 pellets, and these pellets deal 7 damage up to 10 meters and will drop off to 2.1 damage out at 20 meters. This means that if you hit all the pellets within 10 meters, each shot will deal 140 damage, for a total of 280 damage per second. The shotgun can hold a total of 8 rounds and it takes 1.5 seconds to reload. Also remember, the shotgun can headshot. These shotguns are extremely potent within 10 meters, but will experience severe damage drop off and spread outside of close range, making Reaper nothing more than target practice. Reaper's first ability is Wraith Form. When activated, Reaper will cleanse all status effects like Anti-Nade and Discord and become invulnerable from all damage and CC for 3 seconds. While in Wraith Form, Reaper also gains a 50% movement boost. You can cancel the ability earlier by reactivating Wraith Form. Also, when you enter Wraith Form, your shotguns are reloaded, so you'll be ready to fight the second the ability wears off. Wraith Form has an 8-second cooldown. Reaper's second ability is Shadow Step, and before I talk about it, let me just say it's probably the worst ability in the game. It's not bad, but it's just used to get out of spawn, but I'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, Shadow Step allows Reaper to teleport anywhere in his line of sight that is within 35 meters and has flat ground. The casting time of his teleport is 1.5 seconds. Also note that this ability can be activated mid-air, and if done so, his movement speed will get drastically decreased whilst falling. There is also a very short moment when exiting the teleport that Reaper is invulnerable, but Shadow Step has a 10-second cooldown. Next up is Reaper's passive. Reaper's passive is legit just 30% lifesteal. If he deals 100 damage, he will heal himself for 30, and this is what makes killing a Reaper in the midst of a fight so difficult, and when combined with his ultimate can make him unkillable, as he just gets to out-heal all the damage being received. Finally is Reaper's ultimate ability, Death Blossom. When activated, Reaper instantly becomes a blur and starts shooting shotguns rapidly in a circle around him. Reaper will deal 170 damage per second to each target within an 8 meter radius around him. Death Blossom has a 3-second duration, and over its duration will deal 510 damage to everything around him. While in the ultimate, Reaper receives a minus 50% movement speed penalty. Some added information to know about Reaper's ultimate is it can be cancelled by enemy stuns. It can be blocked by shields, but the shields will take the damage. And there is no limit to the amount of targets you can hit in the ult. And finally, when you activate the ult, it automatically reloads your weapons. Even though Reaper's kit is pretty simple, there still was a lot to talk about. But that's all you need to know about his kit. So let's move on to his role and how you need to go about playing him within a team. Your role as Reaper is to be the main DPS of the team. You are supposed to be the primary damage threat. You follow your team, and utilizing their support, you unload your shotgun rounds into the faces of the enemy team. As Reaper, you need to be close to your enemy, but you cannot survive on your own against the entire enemy team. You need to wait for your team to make an opening, and then, when your moment comes, you look to walk forward with the intent of killing them. And if it looks to be getting a little too spicy, you can use your Wraith Form to escape, and find a health pack or a healer. You enforce your team's will, not create your own. You don't dictate how your team fights, but you do decide if the enemies die. Before team fights, you should be looking to hold corners and poke small angles, farm the ult and discouraging advances by the enemy team, and if they don't respect you, teach them a lesson. But let's move on to tips and tricks that you should know to play Reaper successfully. Let's start with his ultimate, as I believe it's one of the most common things that people get wrong when playing Reaper. And what I mean by this is I see too many Reapers just use Wraith form to walk up to the enemy team and then they just ult. They telegraph what they're going to do and use their ultimate, and when they do that they provide enough opportunity for the enemy team to counter, and they just completely whiff their ult and die. When utilising Reaper's ultimate, it is most effective when it is used without warning. This either means jumping off high ground, coming from a flank, or just using it mid-fight. Doing this will increase your chances at completing the ult, but talking about this ultimate, I think that we should mention just how much healing Reaper can get during his ult. With his passive, he will heal for 30% of the damage dealt. Since his ult deals 170 damage per second to each target, Reaper will receive 51 healing a second for every target. That is legit a extra pocket mercy for every target you are hitting. If you ult with the entire enemy team, you will receive 306 healing a second, which is 6 more healing than a Transcendence. I don't need to explain how this can lead to Reaper becoming extremely hard to kill during his ult, especially if you don't stun him. One final thing to know about his ultimate is you can actually shoot and then instantly ult for extra damage, and this helps burst targets down, which may be able to cancel your ult. Since you'll auto reload upon activating your ult, this extra shot doesn't actually cost you anything, and the extra damage is gonna help, so why not shoot beforehand? Okay, that's all the tips for his ultimate. Let's talk about his Wraith form. Wraith form is one of the best escape tools in the game. Once you activate Wraith, there is nothing that anyone can do to stop you. No CC, no damage, and no body blocking. You can just walk away to a health pack. However, this ability can also be used as a gap closer. You can use it to approach onto an enemy without the potential for them to damage you. So I think it's important to discuss when it's smart to use it to engage and when you should save it for a disengage. First off, let me just say that everything depends on context, so there is no one answer for every scenario. But in saying that, we can use a general rule. In general, if you're trying to take a 1v1 fight or skirmish, using Wraith form to engage onto the enemy is often the better decision. And if you're going into a team fight or a skirmish with multiple enemies, it is best to save your Wraith form to allow you to survive and keep fighting. Also remember that you can cancel Wraith form, which allows you to make plays by dodging abilities, using it, and then punching the enemy with your freshly reloaded shotguns. That's enough on his abilities. Let's talk about positioning before and during fights. Natural cover is one of the most important things when playing Reaper. Using corners and walls to block line of sight and forcing the enemy to fight you on your own terms is how you always win 1v1 fights. Staying outside small buildings is one of the best places you can be. Most indoor places in Overwatch are quite close quarters, and well, it's very difficult to use most mobility abilities in the game while inside the building. It also severely restricts how and where the enemy team can fight you. Since their best strategy is to keep you at a distance and poke you down, they really struggle to land the damage onto you. Remember, so stick to indoors where you are really difficult to deal with. But let's move on to important matchups and how you need to play against certain picks. The most important matchup when playing Reaper is against a Roadhog. It's a really weird matchup because who counters who is debatable, but the matchup is as simple as, if Roadhog hits the hook, he wins. If he doesn't, he'll die. And this leads to a mind game battle where the Reaper knows he only has to dodge the hook to win the engagement, and the Roadhog knows the Reaper knows, and the Reaper will try to use Wraith form to dodge the hook, and Roadhog knows the Reaper knows that he knows. It's just so weird. But to summarize, Reaper will try and bait out hook, and Roadhog will try and bait out Wraith, and if either of them waste a crucial ability, they are very likely to die. The second character that gives Reaper a lot of trouble is McCree, and this interaction is very similar to Roadhog, but this time it's with Flashbang. If Reaper gets hit with a flash, he will die, and if he dodges, he'll win. But this time McCree has the range advantage, so he can easily pressure and poke out a Reaper, so you need to stick to walls and inside areas to avoid him, just so you're able to get close to him. If you use Wraith form to close the distance onto McCree, he will simply just flashbang you, so make sure you save your Wraith to dodge the flashbang. One more matchup, or well, matchups to talk about are tanks. None of the tanks want to be anywhere near you, so use this fact to zone enemies away and everything will be okay. But when you do get into a fight, remember what abilities they have, which may be problematic for you. For example, remember that Sigma has an accretion rock to stun you, and D.Va can use a defense matrix to eat your ult. And as long as you're aware of what abilities may give you some trouble, you'll be more than capable of playing around them and giving the tank line a nightmare. But anyway, that's everything I thought I needed to talk about for Reaper. So I hope that you found this guide helpful, and if you did, why not leave a like and subscribe. My next video will probably be an echo guide, so look out for that, but don't quote me if it isn't. But till next, see you then.
My phone lights up, but it's never you. I can't help but feel so lonely, and all these things that I can't undo.